All right. Bring the Smoke podcast.
We're back. What it do, baby? Habibi.
Back from quarantine. Well, I mean,
Still in quarantine.
We're definitely still in quarantine, taping at an unknown location.
Unknown. Out in the boonies.
You got your mask on?
I'm 6 feet.
There you go. Man, it's been a minute, man. So, we've been trying to get on this podcast forever. I'm an essential worker. Let me start there. So I've been busy.
Yeah,
so, just to kind of let the people know, our Discord channel and my text messages from Jay have been hilarious because it's like, yo, this drop, we need to talk about it. And I'm like, hey, if they can prevent me from working 12 hours a day, I can make some time. But until I can stop working 12 hours, like, I can't right now.
As the meme says, impossible.
Yeah. It's been ridiculous, man. I mean, this is obviously something that we have never gone through before.
No.
So
Not in our lifetime.
not in our lifetime. I had a lady at work tell me that obviously she was a little bit older, and she was saying that the Asian flu was the only thing that she could make this comparable to, like, as far as the overall experience, but it wasn't this severe.
Yeah.
Obviously the death toll in the U.S. wasn't as high.
Not at all.
But it was, in her lifetime, this is the only thing that she could compare it to. In our lifetime, I don't think that this is anything that we can compare it to at all.
Not here in the U.S.
No.
For sure.
But I mean, like, you got to think about our kids are going to be, reading about this because how this, virus has taken over the way that it has. And the precautions of staying socially distant and just, at my job, we changed the whole way we did business to accommodate how people come in, the sanitation process and stuff like that. And like you and I have talked about off to the side, the positives that's come out of this is we have been able to teach the entire world how to properly wash their hands. But what you see in like Asian cultures and people who work in hospital industry and are germaphobes, masking up and stuff like that. So me personally, I'm interested to see when flu season comes around, if we take these same practices and maybe limit the exposure to the flu that we've maybe seen in the past, because, flu is like, oh, you get a flu shot, but then maybe you get sick and stuff like that. But because of how this virus has moved, not saying that we would be able to eradicate flu season. I don't think you can do that. But I wonder if you can, kind of flatten the curve of the numbers for flu season when it comes around, considering the practices that we've done for coronavirus, COVID-19.
I'm curious the way society will act once there's a vaccine. When there's a vaccine, will we treat it like the flu afterwards?
But the other thing too is, no disrespect to the death rate and stuff like that, but I'm also curious, based on some of the stuff that I've seen and just at my job in general, with people who have tested positive and had to come back, and some people have just gotten tests and shown that they had the antigens or the clusters, or not the clusters, what are they called? The antibodies. How many of us has actually had it and didn't know it was coronavirus at the time? Because for me personally, back in January, I was sick for about a week, and it was probably the worst cold that I had ever had.
Yeah. Ever.
Couldn't shake it. I was home from work, for almost a solid week. And I was like, man, like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so my wife had it. I know a couple people at her job had it and stuff like that. And I wonder if maybe we were exposed to it earlier. And obviously it wasn't the severe strain that, some people had experienced and lost their battle with it. But I was exposed to it. And maybe that's why, because it seems to, once it gets in a location, it seems to just really spread rapidly.
Yeah.
And then, it seems to be fine. But I was getting at, I'm curious as how many people had it. And if we once this develops where we can accurately test for it, because I think that's been the problem with this, is that not being able to accurately test, because I believe it's what, like 75% accurate.
Yes.
Round that. Don't hold me to the numbers, but it's not 100%. You know, it's not 100% accuracy. But at the same time, it seems like that they can find more traces of it than that people that you have it, but not necessarily. You know, there's not like a end all be all test just yet. You know, we're still learning about it. It seems to have certain strains and how it affects different people and stuff like that, like we were talking earlier. So once we get all this sorted out and are able to treat it the way that we treat other viruses and things like that, I'm just curious to see how many people had it versus what the numbers are reporting, because in my opinion, I think the numbers are a lot higher. It's just we're not testing everybody.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why, you know, it's not, the numbers aren't as high as what where we know them to be.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. I feel like it probably did the same thing in my job. There are a couple people that were coughing, sneezing, you know, stopped up for quite a while at work, and you know, I think it may have been going around at my job around January too. So I think what you're getting at is pretty true.
Yeah.
But you know, time will tell. I hope everybody takes it serious here coming the next few months, so we can kind of wiggle our way out of this.
Yeah.
And get back to some normalcy.
Well, and you know, I'm interested to see, once we get everything sorted out, what our new normal is going to look like. Because we can't just go back to how we were beforehand, you know, because germaphobes have always been saying that this is why they're germaphobes, and we've birthed so many more germaphobes now. So I'm just interested to see what is going to be the new normal for society once this can kind of be under control and things like that. And I hope sooner rather than later, because, you know, a lot of people have lost their loved ones, and this disease has just, or the virus has really just, you know, kind of just torn through everybody, not just on a national level, but on an international level. So, you know, my heart goes out to anyone and everyone who has suffered from this virus and had to lose somebody, or someone became very, you know, close to deathly ill about it. And, you know, God bless you. And, you know, God rest the dead on this, because I mean, I think the response to this, in some cases, without getting too political on this podcast, has been a little bit delayed than what it should be, given the powers that be. You know, there's a debate that could be had regarding everything that's been going on. So, you know, like I said, not to get too political, but we will have to tackle a couple of things in the process of us not being, you know, able to get together the way we have wanted to. But another thing that obviously that has happened in hip hop and society is obviously the George Floyd killing, which, in the midst of everything, the way we live our day-to-day lives and stuff like that, obviously the killing has been a tragedy in this country, but also how it's affected everyone individually. You know, it's thrown up the debate about defunding the police, police practices and tactics, but just also how we view humanity in the country right now, and how skewed, you know, some people have it over the other. I won't say race. I'll leave that up for interpretation, but, you know, some are favored more than others. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the response just kind of make waves, you know, being that everyone's had to shelter in place, and maybe you've been laid off by your job, and we've just consumed so much news lately. I feel like a lot of things came to a head, and police brutality was one of those issues.
It's interesting to see that we're right back where we were kind of 4 years ago, and now people have seen firsthand, watching that terrible video, what the issue was in the first place. Mm-hmm. And we see the NFL, NBA, other major sports take in consideration what Afro-Americans were trying to say in the beginning.
Well, and I think it brings the Kaepernick protest right back to the forefront. And I think a lot of people who maybe the deniers or tried to sweep the issue on the rug, it's kind of been in their face to the point where, social media and the news has had to say, listen, this is what the protest was about. And we understand the debate about the protest, what people have to say about it and things like that. But this is the prime example of why the protest was started. So
exactly,
you've seen people shift their stance on it to saying, okay, I get it now. Being the fact that people have been able to sit down, watch the news, watch a video of what exactly Kaepernick was trying to start the movement for, that it wasn't even his movement. He was just joining the fight. He was just on a larger scale or on a large platform, and he was really trying to bring this issue to the forefront. Not that it hasn't been, but I think it's more so in people's faces to where it's something that people couldn't ignore. And protests, riots, even things like that. My wife, who has been, she's very in the news, current events and things like that. She hasn't been really a protester, but I think in response to everything that's going on, it's kind of changed the way that she looks at things in life. And I've seen her be on the front lines of protests. You and her were actually supposed to meet up at a protest, and just because of the because of the mass numbers, you guys didn't link up. But at the same time, I mean, everyone has their part to do it. Again, not to get political, but let's get political. You and I are the same age, and I just have a stance where, because this has gone on for so long, I've been able to sustain my rage, and an even kill. And my stance has been, okay, you're just as angry as I am, but being that I've experienced this a couple of times and been up on the police situations and stuff like that, can you sustain your rage to go through the voting process where real change can happen in your local government? It has to do with who we have in office and things like that. Regardless of your stance, if you want to see change, you want to do that on the local level first. And then when we have presidential elections and Senate elections and Congress and things like that, get to know who exactly you're putting in office. And little by little, brick by brick, we'll be able to see the change that a lot of people have been in the streets protesting for.
Speaking of that, July 14th, there's a runoff election. Get out there and vote. Make sure you're registered to vote come November. But more importantly, you want to get involved in your local politics. So get out there and vote and try to make that change.
And like I said, I'm not favoring one over the other. Yeah. I just feel like where we are at this moment, we can all stand to do a little bit more research and back the people that we support. At times I feel like we have celebrity candidates in the sense that they build up a social media following, and it's the right thing to do. And like I said, if that's what you're into, that's fine. But people taking the time to get to know their candidates and making an intelligent decision, I support that. Regardless, party line July, I don't care. You're free to do whatever you want. But as long as you have done your due diligence to make a decision, for me, especially on a local level, just in Texas, man, there's so many people that I had to look at, and I didn't see everyone. I voted in this, the Democratic runoff, and while I knew most of them, I went with what I knew. Yeah. But this is probably the first time in my life that I had way more information about the candidates that were running than I had in previous elections. And that's shame on me. But again, being the fact that we've been at home, I've had time to watch local debates and things like that. I could pick people that I would stand by. So that's the positive things that I've been able to take out of the situation.
Yeah, the Women's Voters League is a really good resource that I've constantly used that kind of breaks down each candidate's stance and what they stand for and where they stand on each issue. So if that's a tool that you would like to use going forward to help you figure out who's the best candidate for you, I highly suggest using their their website. They got a nice PDF file all laid out. And I use that quite often to kind of do the research that I need to do to make sure that I'm picking the candidate that stands for policies and values that I think I would like to see in place to not only help me, but the people around me. That's one of the things that I try to do when I vote, not just think of myself, but the people that are around me.
Yeah. And, we'll tackle this last topic and we'll get back to the music. But, my thing, obviously, I'm a firm believer in Black Lives Matter. Being African American and having experience with the police, I do feel the stresses of being an African American male in this country. And I stand with that. Now, does that mean blue lives don't matter? Does that mean all lives don't matter? No, that's all lives matter. I support law enforcement. My mother, who has been involved in law enforcement and things like that, and I'll say this and leave my piece at this. There are hundreds of thousands of cops in this country who the majority of them are out there to serve and protect and watch over us and use their platform and their stances to help protect us. At the same time, and I've said this through and through, I work at a job where I got bad apples at my job, and the company policy has guidelines to deal with those type of people who want to act out of the company guidelines. With police officers, there's a code of silence that goes into effect that protects the shield. And while I stand with the police officers that do their job, I would ask police officers to, instead of black the eye of what the police officers look like at this moment in this country, to discipline their own and make the proper decisions to deal with these issues. And I think overall we could be at a better place. This has been a problem for a long time. And it's something that has to help. It has to be affected internally so that we, as the people in society that are dealing with these run-ins and stuff like that, can see the change that we know law enforcement is capable of. I'm not one to say that we have to abolish police. No. I depend on police officers for a lot of variety of things. However, defunding the police in hopes to really get the message across and have them really look at themselves internally and dealing with things, I feel like is a big issue for me. And I know that they're capable of it, but because they are capable of a lot of things. They do a lot of good for this country, and they've done a lot of things for this country. And I'm thankful to live in a country where I can rely on the police officers to do their job. I'm just asking to take care of the people that refuse to do theirs.
Absolutely.
And like I said, shout out to all law enforcement, because I've had family members that are police officers. I have friends that are police officers, and those are not the people we are talking about. Again, it feels like a massive amount of bad cops, and that is not the case. It's the fact that we are not holding those bad cops accountable that give law enforcement as a whole a bad name. And I just hope that we can come to a resolution.
Yeah, all I want is a system to be fixed within. Have cops, like you said, take a good hard look at themselves in the mirror and understand that those bad cops that you choose not to stand up against also represent who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And some people like to use this one bad apple can spoil a bunch, but until you remove that bad apple, I say you gotta spoil a bunch, man.
Yeah,
straight up,
absolutely. So that is our soapbox portion of it, and we got some smoke to bring. But to get back to the music, man. So there's been so much music that's come out. And, just to let everyone know, I mean, Jay and everyone on our Discord channel, I mean, just posting music the whole time. And we've been listening to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of music has come out. There's too many albums for us to go down.
Mm-hmm.
This show would be 4.5 hours if we talked about all the music that came out. But to just kind of hit the high notes, Rich the Kid, Lil Uzi Vert, The Weeknd, Childish Gambino, Jeezy, Jonah Lucas, Party Next Door, Lil Gotti, DaBaby, Lil Baby, Chris Brown, Future, Moneybagg, Polo G. I mean, Gunna, Styles P, Ace Hood, Young M.A, Dej Loaf, Freddie Gibson, Alchemist, Lil Yachty, Lil Wayne, Boosie, A Boogie, Tiana Taylor. I mean, Wale, which we'll get to that, of course. Fetty Wap, Run the Jewels, Pop Smoke, R.I.P., Don Toliver, Meg Thee Stallion, Max B. And like I said, these are just what I wrote down. There's obviously a lot more that came out. There's a lot more that we will talk about, but a lot of music. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that's good that's come out of this, out of the pandemic and things like that, is we've been able to sit around and listen to music. And while we haven't been able to record our opinions, you've been getting roasted in the Discord channel as usual.
Oh, yeah. But, you have to.
About which one exactly?
Let's see. Wale.
You like the Wale joint?
No, you got roasted for the
Wale.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right about that. So, like I said, it's a massive amount of music that came back, but of the top quarantine releases that came out, I think I'm gonna give you mine, and it's a few, and I'll talk about them. So my top releases during this whole process has been Run the Jewels, RTJ4, Drake's little kind of demo tapes,
mixtape.
I've been saying that it's comparable to Kendrick Lamar's Untitled Unmastered. It's a lot of tracks from a lot of projects that he's put together, and these are just the throwaway joints.
There were a lot of leaks on there too.
There were
a lot
absolutely.
Of leaks. Yeah.
The Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist joint, which I'll get more in detail about. Ace Hood, who's kind of had kind of a social media following, who I've been following up to the point where it has album released, and it made me interested to see what the album's going. The album is decent, Will it be in my top 10? No, but it's worth a listen. He's independent, and on this show, we like to highlight independent artists and let you know that people that are kind of off the beaten path and kind of reestablishing their own lane. So I recommend the Ace Hood album. West Side Gun. I mean,
Pray for Paris.
Is it Griselda's year?
Oh yeah,
it is. Right?
It is.
Conway.
They don't miss.
They really don't right now.
Miss.
They can do no wrong right now. Yeah, they could kill a baby in the middle of New York right now, and they'd be like, Griselda. I think they could just yell out Griselda. Yeah, I mean, they told us they would do
it.
Yeah. Sky Zoo, which you had sent that album across, and I think it took a hangout with you to get me to sit down and listen to it, and it's been in a heavy rotation since the last time you and I got together. So, I mean, thank you. He got one in for the year. Can you believe it? And another album that I have to say, Destruction of Cain. I've been reading the blogs. I have some YouTube friends that I keep up to date on and stuff like that. Destruction of Cain, and I'll say this about the album before I get into the other ones. It's a great album. To me personally, I'm having trouble seeing how we're giving this a top 3 spot for the year so far. Just because for me personally, there is things that we look at, to be a top 5 album. Production, which I feel like it lacks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, overwhelmingly powerful are the bars. I mean, they are. But for some people, and you and I were talking about this when you first came to my house today, it's to me, I look at this album like a spoken word album. You have to get out of your mind that there's production, features, and stuff like that. You got to shut all that down and just really absorb the project and listen to what this man is saying. And when you're able to tune all that out and you're really allowed to adjust your ears to it, you can appreciate the projects to what he's saying, some real stuff, a lot of thought-provoking things and stuff like that. However, I've seen some of y'all out here putting it in the top 3, and I just don't see it. I don't see the replayability for the average listener in hip hop is very low to me. Me being a connoisseur of the game, I can see how you can make a case for it. But I think at the end of the year, I'm gonna go ahead and make this call. It's gonna fall hard because if you get 2 or 3 more heavy hitter releases, that's gonna be the first album to go for me. You really have to be an underground head to not appreciate some of the major releases that we've seen so far, and more so some of the underground. I'm not saying it's a bad project. I just have a hard time seeing how it's a top 3 project.
Yeah, I gave it a quick listen after we sat down and we got everything put up, and it just sonically didn't hit any vibes for me. Granted, we were listening to Freddie Gibbs before we got started, and that set the tone for me. And then going to Ka, I think his cadence and his production just didn't pump me up enough. I think that's an album that you're sitting chilling in your room, probably smoking a hookah by yourself or whatever, and maybe you turn on that album and you could possibly vibe to it. But as far as me hopping in my car, turning that on, riding, it's not gonna happen, man. It just didn't have any oomph to me to get me there. And I gave each song at least two minutes of play before switching the tracks. And we got 4 tracks in. I was just like, nah, man, put Freddie back on. And so speaking of Freddie, my top albums, of course, some of ours overlap. The Freddie Gibbs, West Side Gun, the Drake. But then I'm going to pop on some other guys. Lil Baby for me, I just love that album sonically. And lyricism's great. And honestly, right now, Lil Baby hasn't missed for me this year. Everything that he's been dropping, even his features, have been pretty solid. He dropped a little single track for the George Floyd thing. It was really nice, too.
It was, him and the Baby on the remix, right?
Yeah. So that was really nice. I'm going to throw in Boldy James, Price T in China, BringtheSmoke, Black Habits, and of course, I said Drake, Dark Lane demo tapes was on the top. And for honorable mention, I'm going to throw in, because Griselda Gang, all the way, Conway the Machine's Lulu.
Yeah.
But, and of course, those are all Alchemist projects.
I was saying this when you first got here, because some of the blogs and some of the YouTube subscribers that I follow, they were saying, the artist of 2020 is going to be Alchemist by the time we're halfway through, and he has 5 projects that he's been involved in. I mean,
the man is a genius when it comes to the beats.
The best way to describe Alchemist right now, he reminds me of Kanye last year, just really trying to get out as much music that he can. And unlike Kanye, I'm checking for all these projects, and there's been a consistency with these projects. Maybe it has something to do with these artists that are coming up, and this is just kind of the new wave of people kind of like, shifting as far as their ranking in the hip hop game. But Alchemist has been the producer to go to this year. Last year, I would say it was Kanye, Salai Remy, and I mean, Alchemist had, Yacht Rock and things like that.
Yep.
That he had it. He's just in his bag right now. I mean, he can do no wrong right now.
I think Alchemist is really good at knowing the artist and what sound to give them, because the way he does it with
Action Bronson.
Action Bronson, sorry. Yes, Action Bronson. When he links up with Action, like,
what was the name of that? Lamb Over Rice?
Yeah. Lamb Over Rice. That was in my top 20, top 25 last year.
Love Action Bronson. I just didn't like that project, as you know. I like Blue Chips 3000 and what was it, Dr. Kimball? No, it was White Bronco.
White Bronco.
I like those two better than I like Lamb Over Rice.
Yeah, but Alchemists are heavy in those too. So,
and like I said, I haven't checked out the BringtheSmoke project. I was gonna check it when you sent me the notes for the show. I was like, I've been seeing that. I just haven't had a chance to listen to it. But the Boldy James, I slept on it. It's new. I don't have an opinion. Maybe I'll come back to it and give my touch on it. But so far, I don't know how I missed it. I'm biased sometimes. When I see people coming out, I tend to go back to the previous project before their new project comes up. I was like, yeah, this one's good. You got to top this one. And to go back to West Side Gun and Freddie Gibbs, exceeded expectations. The bars were high for those two projects to come out. The Griselda album track, Hitler Wears Hermes project was dope.
Fly Guy 2 was.
I mean, yeah, and you just released another one, which I would say is kind of a deluxe version of West Side, Pray for Paris from West Side Gun. However, it has some new features from Benny. There was a Conway joint. He got Tyler, the Creator, again. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff like.
Tyler's been nice on features lately too,
and that's what I was gonna say. I mean, he's on both of these projects.
Yeah,
and
for them to reach out to Tyler, and on the Freddie Gibbs track, he was.
I think Tyler, given the fact that he won the Grammy for Rap Album of the Year, a lot of people were skeptical. It's like, it's very little concept album. He's like, whoa, I was doing this before.
Yeah,
because I decided to kind of shift into my NERD bag. I can still rap. Goblin is still an album that can hold up to the test of time. So I'm interested to see the next Tyler, the Creator album that
he's back in his rapping bag, and those lyrics are nice, and it's complete 180, I would say, from the concept album. So it lets me know that with maturity, his bars have matured as well. And I mean, the bars were always good, but it shows that he can hang with the best of them out here still, and he hasn't slipped at all. So shout out to Tyler.
Absolutely, shout out to the whole Golf Wang game, man. What are you talking about? Frank Ocean. I mean, we just shout out to Golf Wang, man.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is when you get highlighted by, I mean, a Grammy Award is the highest badge of honor that you can get in music. Obviously a Hall of Fame induction and things like that is the ultimate goal. But for an up-and-coming artist and for an established artist, a Grammy is the highest mark that you can get. And with winning that, you get access to more resources that allows you to get your name projects out. Exactly. And so you go from someone who's a hot artist to someone who you need to tap to get to your project to help put you to the next level. And I think with Freddie Gibbs, and West Side Gun in particular, they recognize that, and he doesn't disappoint on his verses. I mean, those are memorable tracks. I think if we did,
some of my favorites. Yeah.
I don't know if we can do that for this year, with everything that we did last year. If we could give like a top 10, top 25 tracks, I would say that he's probably going to be on 2 or 3 of them by the year's done, as far as like top tracks of the year.
Yeah, just we should give honorable mentions to features that were just dope as hell.
And like I said, I know that's a lot of work, but I think going ahead and listening and compiling a spreadsheet or something that just says top verse or top songs of the year. But again, last year I was head over heels for the Bandana album. I'm the same way for Alfredo, man. I mean, this project is dope. I can't stop listening to this.
So Bandana was kind of my full introduction to Freddie. I listened to some of his stuff before, but coming from that to this new project, it's, man, it does something different. I think this year, if Freddie doesn't have top album,
microphone check 1 2 mic checker.
Check.
I mean.
Yeah, man, I'm following on Instagram now, man. Like, yo, I'm all about Freddie, man.
Real quick.
Real quick. I'm a huge fan.
So him and Academics are going back and forth on social media right now,
it's been hilarious.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I saw a video.
I'm glad to see him take a seat and get a reality check. I'm on World Star a lot, and they always post his videos. And sometimes I don't know that they're his videos. And when I click play and I hear that, I'm like, turn it off right now. I can't listen to it. I can't stand him. And everything that Joe has kind of said about Academics has come to the light now. And it's just nice to see him get a reality check all the stunts that he's been pulling lately. I think he was just hanging out with 6ix9ine too much.
I think because, and we can talk about 6ix9ine in a minute too, but I think
we didn't even list his projects, his songs that he dropped on here, did we?
I saw something, and I don't know how true that he's gonna be off house arrest.
Yeah,
next month.
I heard that. Yeah,
and I'm not a street dude. I say that all the time, but at the same time, I just don't support it. I just don't. There's real people that walk around on this earth and they move a different way. And I stand with them on this, man. Sorry, man. You did the crime, you had to do the time. I mean, it's
for me.
Why bring other people down with you unnecessarily? I just don't understand. I mean, they didn't help you get into all that mess, so why should they have to suffer because you have the information to bring someone down? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it. Like, I agree that if you down with that code, you kind of have to stick by that code. But once your homie, your cliques turn their back on you, they're trying to do all this and that to you. Yo, man, they had no loyalty to me. Why do I have to have loyalty?
Do you remember? Do you remember the show Smart Guy with Taj Mahari and Jason Weaver? There's an episode where Jason Weaver is trying to teach Taj Mahari about the code, and the episode, like I said, it's a kid's show. But what I can pull out of that show is the father. Once Taj Mahari gets caught up in the whole system and trying to live by the code and stuff like that. And he goes, "Oh, you mean the code where you stand by your word until someone else brings you down? Then you got something else to say? That's the code you want?" It was at that point that I realized I'm not built for that. That's just me personally. I'm not built from that. I'm not cut from that cloth. I don't live in that realm of life, but I can definitely have a respect for the people that do, because it's a very hard mentality that you have to keep in it. And in some regards, much like a lot of things, it is a code to live by, much like religion, spirituality, and things like that. Those characteristics make men and women who they are, and how they live their day-to-day life. Me, I'm more of a spiritual guy, more of a karma guy. And so I try to stay on the side of good karma.
Me, I'm a logic guy. The code itself is full of.
I thought you were trying to say you were a Bobby Tarantino guy.
No, I'm just logic. The code itself is full of hypocrisy to me. It's not like it was back in the days when you had the Italian mafia, like all these other old mafia gangs. Like, yo, if I got locked up, you're gonna take care of my family, me and my family, and I'm gonna hold you down.
Yeah,
and we see that in movies and things like that. That's that code they live by, but such has changed in the code to where that's not the case anymore. And to continue to think that people will continue to live by it, it's like a fallacy in itself. Like, you expect people to do what you would do, and you're setting yourself up for failure. And so they expected 6ix9ine to hold him down, like when he wasn't a street dude to begin with.
Well, and
you did it to yourself. I ain't got no. I can't be sorry for you.
I'm not sorry.
You pulled a schoolboy out and put him in a gang, and you expected him to
Catholic
live by
schoolboy of all.
Yeah. So come on, man. You played yourself. Like, just like Moneybag said,
this guy's a gangster. His real name is Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel was a real good boy.
His parents had a real good marriage.
Yeah,
but so I was on social media today, and I saw Freddie Gibbs, and I mean, much like Freddie Gibbs, his whole vibe, he was on vacation, hanging out with the kids and stuff like that. And just to set up the video for you, waitress comes, bring him a new drink, and he on social media, he's just hilarious. He could be a comedian, once he outlives his rap life and things like that. If he wanted to do comedy, man, I'd be down for it. Mm-hmm. But he said, "Yo, academics, man, I saw Complex is talking about pulling pulling the plug on you, man. And what I want to do, because I hate to see you out here, collecting unemployment, I want to hire you, man. I want to. I need you. I need your social media following. I need you to be able to do what you did for me, because I know it advances what I do. But he's like, however, there's some stipulations. He's like, I got to whoop your ass first. And then 2, got to give me the location of 6ix9ine, because I ain't the only one looking for him. And I mean, again, the seriousness of that situation is hilarious. And
he did it to himself, man.
He did, man.
When he started going after Chrissy Teigen, is that how you say her name? Mm-hmm. When he started going after her, it let me know that he knew he couldn't stand on just going after Freddie by himself. So he's like, let me get these other people that are not coming back. And I think that's the tipping point. Like, oh boy, you're going after people in high positions, with way more dollars than you, and they shut you down.
But I mean, that's the thing too. Like, Academics gets money. He's got a huge social media following and things like that. And look, I can support Academics for talking numbers. He's essential to hip hop in the sense that he gives you the numbers, preliminary numbers that come out, and it kind of. He's like the weatherman of hip hop. He can forecast what kind of units people are going to do. Considering
it's a shade room for hip hop, man.
I mean, he is, but look, to play devil's advocate, there are people that are there to. He plays both sides of the line. Yeah. He needs to stop going at people that are tougher than he is. I feel like, because those people don't play for real.
If he stuck with the underground, he might have had.
Not even that. I mean,
those dudes are still in the streets. Maybe not.
Yeah, Vic's Mensa checked him on his own show, man. Let's not forget about that. But
Vic of all people too.
Yes, I mean, and like, look, I'm a fan of Vic Mensa. I wish he made better music at times, but listen, I've been a fan of Vic Mensa since Kids These Days.
Oh, Kids These Days was dope.
I saw him when he was coming up. I saw the potential. I reached my hand out and dapped him up when he was here in Austin at a show at the Belmont. Mm-hmm. And I said, yo, man, you're next to blow. Because even that at the age that he was when he was performing, I've always been a talent scout. I saw that even though
Mrs. Trey, the underground artist.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still underground. It's just, there's so much underground now. You know what I mean? And, but I saw, given the artistry that he came up under, I could recognize the talent. He needed Kids These Days to get him to springboard into the mainstream, and he did that. It's unfortunate that his grind and his pen hasn't been able to outshine his antics and, at times the characters that he portrays with each album that comes out. And that's just my personal opinion.
I think he lost touch with the producers that he had when he was coming up, because he had some hits that were really nice when he was working with Ye.
Yeah.
And then when he seemed to move away from that, the quality of not only his bars, but his sound sonically dipped.
But okay, so to put that into perspective, so 070 Shake, who's kind of like this offbeat hip hop, R&B, emo act and stuff like that. I look at her and I look before.
You talked about her before.
Yeah. When she first came out, I was like, oh, this is very, like, it's depressing. I can see the lane that she's coming into. And then, she was on Ye. And I think this about a lot of artists. I think sometimes people just need that nudge. I don't often talk a lot of times about XXXTentacion because I don't personally gravitate towards him. But something that I can say positive about him, and again, rest in peace, is that he knew how to use his voice to make his music. It got better and better and better. While it didn't relate to me sonically in the way that he was producing his albums after, between each project that he released and even the last project, you could tell that he was going in a direction that he wasn't there yet to give us a classic, but he was doing all the right things that made him more notable, rememberable, and things like that.
I feel the same way about Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
I listened to his last record, and it reminded me of riding around listening to Man in the Moon too. So I was like, wow, okay. Now I see where it's going. And he did a really good job in blending that hip hop rock sound together that I enjoy very, very much, coming from the skating world. And
like I said, I think
him and XX, like they were on.
I just feel like hip hop from that new school, it had like a punk rock aesthetic to it.
I mean, sampling Yellow Card and whatnot. Like, let me know. And it was quite interesting. I read some backstory. Sorry to interrupt you. I read some backstory on Juice WRLD that he got into that sound because he was trying to date a girl that was into that. And so he was like, yo, I don't know much about that. Let me dive into it. And then he just fell in love with that sound, and he incorporated it into his hip hop sound.
Well,
so,
I mean, that's hip hop.
Yeah.
It's taking the old and making it new again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's hip hop. So I say all that to gravitate towards with Vic Mensa.
Oh yeah.
Is that I feel like if he goes back to his, because I know he's been on his punk rock stuff. He's like Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, and
classics.
Yeah, I know his influences. One thing that I pride myself on is being able to listen to someone and being able to pick out their influences based on the way that they make make music, because I can hear the influences that they try to pull from. And I know the area that Vic Mensa comes from. Sometimes it takes the right producer to highlight that, and that is used as a springboard to say, okay, I got it. This is how I want to do. And that's how you build your sound to where that you can get it up to the point where, you can reach more of the masses.
Like if Kid Cudi took what Ye did with Erase Me and applied that to the rest of Wizards or Speed Demons and Bullets, he might have.
Yeah, but I also think he has to go through all that too, because if you don't count Wizard, if you don't count Indicut, Demon Slaying and things like that, Speed and Bullet, if he doesn't make these type of projects, he doesn't have these layers of sound. You don't get Kids See Ghosts.
I'm saying he still could have made those sounds, but with the right production.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
he just didn't have the right production.
What was the DJ for Wizard? Because I say it's Domo Genius, but I know it's not. I can't remember the guy's name. But again, there's pluses and minuses to every album. Obviously, he did this well. He did this well. I just feel like I saw what they were trying to do. I just think they didn't quite execute it the way that they want to, because you and I both are big Cudi fans, and Indicut is one of those things where it's like, ooh, Man on the Moon 2 was really good.
Yeah.
Indicut was not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Depends on who you talk to on that.
It is. Yeah. But there's memorable songs on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, song. Man on the Moon 2, I would hate to say that Man on the Moon 2 is his most complete album. I know he's got projects coming on. He obviously, just this past Friday, released a track with him and, Marshall Mathers. Mm-hmm. And
Shady.
Yeah.
And so I got Marshall Mathers, you got Eminem, and you got Shady.
Yeah. I thought it was a good track.
I'm
interested to see what comes of this, because with all of his emotional issues and his mental health issues, I know that he was all over the place, but I think that he's gotten to a place where he has been able to kind of like resolve a lot of his issues. And again, with pain comes some of the best art I've always said that.
Yeah, we had a good conversation about that.
Yeah, and I'm just very interested to see what the new project sounds like, because I feel like his resolve for his issues and being as talented as he is, I think now we can start to see some of his best work come forward, because he's been able to really pull from it, but not have to deal with it emotionally the way that he has because you could tell in his previous project how it comes out in his music.
I think Kids See Ghosts was a great springboard to fall into what this new album will be.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm super excited about it. Again, I don't want him to rush it out. I think it's like baking a cake, man. Time, love, and you feel that shit whenever you get, that's what I want. I'm not saying I need it by the end of this year. It doesn't have to come out. If he wants to push it till mid 2021, given everything that's going on and it's a quality project, I'll take that over trying to rush it in the next 2 weeks.
I feel like it's going to be a December release.
Yeah. And that's fine too. But I think given the project minus the Travis Scott project, because I wasn't a fan of it.
I wasn't a fan of it either.
I feel like that was rushed. And because of what Travis Scott and Kid Cudi mean to one another, because I know Travis Scott is such a big Kid Cudi fan. I mean, he's so much of an influence to what he does, and a lot of people don't really understand that. Sometimes I feel like when Travis Scott kind of goes off on the deep end, he's just pulling from all these Cudi releases and things like that, and just like he's an emotional guy himself. He just has a filter that he produces his music that he's able to reach the masses. And so, not everything that artists do is going to always hit. It's a concept. It's just how they make music.
That's why you kind of drop that single out there like that to see if it does hit the way you want it to. But yeah, I agree with you on waiting for that Cudi release. It's going to be, man, I imagine it's going to be on repeat when it does drop for me, because the Leader of the Delinquents track, that was a nice track.
Yeah,
that was just a solo Cudi. The other two that we had have all been features, so that's why I'm excited to see what the solo tracks sound like. Because it's a hard combination to get on Cudi's vibe, right? Yeah. It's hard to catch that.
But I was going to say that. So it's a compilation of his harmonics, his melancholic. Did I say that right?
Melodic.
No. Melancholy.
Oh, melancholy. Okay, yes.
His melancholic vibe.
I made a word, but I like it.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I gotta give you some
all
smoke.
that. All that makes him who he is, but through a lens that he knows how to reach the masses. He did that on he did that on A Kid Named Cudi. He did that on Man on the Moon 1 and 2. He does that on all of his projects, but it just has to be more polished. You know what I mean? And maybe some of the stuff that he's released in the past is label constraints of really trying to keep his popularity and his grip that he had. He's obviously lost that, but you can see that he's been gaining momentum with more releases that he has.
Especially being influenced that he is on this younger generation.
He's the biggest influence on this younger generation. He's perfect, man. He's perfect for this generation. And I know he realizes that.
Leader of the Delinquents, baby.
There you go.
Yeah. Before you switch, someone told me that they really want us to do an episode just on Cudi himself. I've heard that from multiple people because of the way that we talk about him. I think we could pull that off.
We could definitely pull it off.
Yeah.
The thing about that is that we have to listen to some of the bad albums. And I mean, if once we switch to this video, it's going to be hard for me to do this because the hard eye rolls that I do when we talk about, some of the bad Cudi albums, man, I mean, we're going to get some dislikes. We're gonna get some. They're like, did you see the way that he made that face when they were talking about Passion, Pain, Demon Slaying? And I'm like, look, it's a bad album. I mean, I stay by that. I stand by that.
I do too, man. I just couldn't vibe with it.
Yeah, so
it's okay. It's okay.
But it incorporates our age and what we are going through as men in this in our lifetimes and stuff like that. It just doesn't resonate with me. It may mean something to you. There's a lot. That's what's great about music. It might not resonate with me, but it resonates with you on a level that I can't relate to. And that's fine. We can have that debate. I'm up for conversations about having it. I just know it's a bad album.
Yeah.
Because if you try to make that case for it, then I know we'd be on the same page about Man on the Moon 1 and Man on the Moon 2.
Yeah. Where would you rank those? They don't even. Yeah. They don't.
Those
make the top
are
three.
easy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Those are easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. Wale. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about Wale, man. I gave that project one listen, and it was all I needed. And he got mad at me for that. He got mad at the whole industry for that.
We talked about the NPR on the show? Have we talked about it on the? We talked about. The problem was he did his old stuff. I thought the NPR episode was great because he incorporated his old stuff, his new stuff. But it just solidified for me how great he was and just the mistakes that he's made since he's been moving forward. And I don't know if it's going to take a producer to fix some of the stuff with Wale that I have problems with, or if it's just Wale.
It's just Wale, man. It's just Wale.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I'll go on record.
I want to like him. I love his vibe. I love his style. I love his flow. You know, I can recite Wale verses. One of my best verses from Wale comes from the Roots Rising Down album. The name of the track is Rising Up. One of the most memorable Wale verses, you know, that I can recite to memory. And then also a lot of the tracks off Attention Deficit and Ambition.
Oh, Ambition, yeah.
I mean, those are just good albums. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
I couldn't show you where he is in his creative space. It's just not for me. I know he makes songs for the ladies. He's like a street dude. He's got this suave, debonair type of consciousness to him, which for me, I can relate to a lot. Just can't ever seem to
vibe.
Yeah, you know,
it's one thing to relate to it. It's another to vibe to it.
Yeah,
right?
and I can't. You know, and that's always going to be my stance. I'm always going to listen to the project to see what he's doing and how he's bringing new music. It's just to the point now where I can just see the toilet flushes from Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club, man.
The farts.
Yeah. Like, yo, you did a good.
Nah, man. Charlemagne loves Wale, man. I don't think
it's an East Coast thing, and I think at times when I don't vibe with certain projects, because again, some people may have the same opinion about Paul Wall and artists from the South and stuff like that. And being from the South, I'm always going to be less opinionated about it. Unless the album is trash, but because I'm from the South, because the material resonates with me more, because it's
you say South, you mean Texas, and not
Dirty
Atlanta.
South. Oh, okay, I'm not a fan of Lil Yachty, but I'm like I said, real lyricism, and when it comes from the South, because while it may seem selective, you know, it might not be Lil Yachty. It may be more of like, you know, a T.I., like we were talking about earlier, where T.I. feels like he needs all this respect. And I'm just like, look, you make good songs, but trying to solidify yourself as one of the greats. You said it earlier. Could he go bar for, or, you know, we'll put up 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying with any of his best albums. And I feel like that wins.
Yeah.
And
one track against
one of the tracks off of Get Rich or Die Trying versus any other one.
Yeah.
And the fact that a lot of artists do this from time to time. They say, I was the greatest in hip hop last year. I don't know why you guys don't give me my respect. And you're like, let's run the tape. You weren't.
Yeah.
You had a hot song. French Montana made that mistake.
Oh, yes.
He said that he had more hits than Kendrick Lamar.
Yo.
That's a bald-headed lie.
Yo, yeah. You had more hits that banged in the East Coast in New York than
so I
half
did the
stuff we didn't even hear down here.
Yes, I did the research. Kendrick Lamar has more top 5 hits than French Montana has hits on the Billboard chart, period. So what are you talking about?
I mean, I made a comment on a website, and I said that Kendrick Lamar is a Nobel Prize winner, and that says something. Like, he has complete albums that sound amazing, and they tell a story from front to back, and that makes a great project.
Of Kendrick Lamar's hits, 80% of them are solo. Of French Montana hits,
Features.
all of them have featured artists on them.
Half of them are Drake.
Exactly. His biggest song, Unforgettable, Sway Lee.
Yeah.
And Sway Lee has the best part on the song.
Yeah, and the production on that was amazing. Other than that, like, that song is forgettable.
But but we were talking about this earlier. When you first got here, you know, we were sitting around eating, we were talking to hip hop, like, you know, and I just want to balance the competition. You know, I said T.I. going at 50 Cent is interesting to me because I like to compare the whole facet of the argument, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying G Unit versus Pimp Squad Click. Is that an argument?
Not even close. Not even close. I mean, 50 put his boys on way better than T.I. has. A talent of Lloyd.
Name a Pimp Squad Click song that's better than G Unit. You won't.
No.
Now, does T.I.
has better tracks?
Okay, I'll even tell you. There's a couple songs of Tony Yayo that I like, but the best one that I have is "I Know You Don't Love Me" with 50 Cent, Young Buck, Lloyd Banks. There's the whole G Unit flam on there, and Yayo is not the best verse on there. In my opinion, I think Lloyd Banks has the best verse on that one, but it's debatable. 50 maybe has. I don't know.
Yeah.
But compared to Pimp Squad Click, it's not an argument.
We had this conversation at dinner as well. Who would you respectfully put T.I. up against, to where
he would win? Because he's trying to compare himself with the top tier. You know, he's trying to say that he needs to be up there with Jay-Z. What album of T.I.'s can compete with Jay-Z's album? Maybe Kingdom Come. Maybe. And that's one of his worst. He's even said that. It's Kingdom Come is not my best.
Yeah.
But you still have Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. We're not even talking about the Blueprint albums.
No.
Those are not even the discussion.
Yeah.
So which album specifically do you think that you could match Jay-Z's catalog?
Yeah.
And you can pick the album. I mean, hell, the 2.1 where, you know, it's not Blueprint 2, it's 2.1. It's all the throwaways, and there's a lot of other tracks that I think maybe it'd cause an argument. But even that,
I think he listens to Swagger Like Us and then gets in a zone, because, I mean, he goes bar for bar with some top tier artists there, and I think that gets in his head and, like, you know, blows it up bigger than it should be, right? And Swagger Like Us is a dope track. T.I.'s got some dope bars in that track.
T.I. is a dope artist. He represents the, you know, he, like we were talking about at dinner today, he represents the hustlers in the South, and it's hustling music. It's out there. It's grimy. It's all that other stuff. But when you're talking about being one of the greats, Kendrick Lamar has those. You know, Jay-Z has those. I mean,
but we still haven't answered the question. Who would you put him up against?
It's a tough conversation,
Yeah.
because I feel like when you put his catalog on the scale, and it's no disrespect to him, but there is a lot more duds than there are hits, and those have to be taken into account.
T.I. versus Ross?
No.
Ross wins.
Yeah, Ross wins easily. Ross wins easily.
Okay,
real quick.
Man. Yeah.
Ross wins based off the Maybach music tracks alone.
Yeah.
And those are features.
Yeah.
All of them are features.
Yo, I'm trying, man.
I said,
pitching,
I sat there, I watched the interview, darts. And I'm just like, who could you go against? Because, that's one of the other things that's been going on during quarantine is these verses.
Yeah.
And these verses have been great. Mm-hmm. They've, Teddy Riley versus Babyface, Scott Storch versus Little John,
Jadakiss versus Fab.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Those are evenly matched battles. Mm-hmm. I don't know who you put at TI where you could have
evenly matched.
Because, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu was probably one of the most interesting things because while I'm a Jill Scott fan, what I saw was that I'm way more of an Erykah Badu fan.
That's what I was gonna say. While I'm a Jill Scott fan, I'm an Erykah Badu stan.
And it's like Jill Scott has some hits.
Yeah.
And it might not be mainstream hits, but I knew all those songs. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, Miss Jill Scott.
Yeah.
And then Erykah was like, I'm gonna throw Bad Lady. I'm gonna throw Tyrone. I'm gonna throw Window Seat. And I'm like, I love you, Erykah.
Yeah.
I just love you so much. And like I said, she lost just because I think that she underestimated Erykah Badu's influence.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I love these versus things. The reggae battles. I mean, it's just great. But what makes these battles great is that they're evenly matched. Right now, the way I'm thinking, and you can put this in the comment, I don't know who you put in a battle with T.I. where T.I. wins. That's not at the level that he's saying that he wants to be.
Where it's evenly matched.
Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know. I can't honestly say that I don't know who you put. The wife made a joke. It's like maybe Young Jock. Like that, he'd win. He would win. But that's not the level that he's trying to say to you. You're gonna put him against Lil Wayne?
No.
You can't.
No, no way.
I mean, like I said, put him up against the people that he's been featured with. He can't. Jadakiss beats him. Yeah. Fabulous beats him. Big Sean, I think Big Sean beats him.
Dang. And for you to say that is,
and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like I said, I think Big Sean could beat T.I. in a battle. In a versus battle.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, okay. So he's saying that his biggest song is Swagger Like Us. Can you agree?
Yeah.
So, okay. So if we're throwing featured songs, mainstream featured song, is Swagger Like Us, does that beat Mercy?
No. No.
And right there.
It comes close though.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
2 Chainz verse alone will shut the whole thing down.
2 Chainz verse is once again most underrated rapper.
He is. He is. So again, I'm not.
Oh, what about 2 Chainz?
2 Chainz versus T.I.?
Yeah, I know you wanted to get away from the Atlanta versus Atlanta thing.
Because I just don't think it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to. Man, who's the best artist out of Atlanta?
That would be Andre 3000.
Individual solo act?
Okay, Outkast then.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to make the case for you so bad. I just don't know who you could put up in the air against T.I. where T.I. would win. That, like I said, amongst the crowd that he wants to be a part of. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z, standalone knockout. Yeah. First round knockout. Mm-hmm. Kendrick Lamar, first round knockout. I mean,
going to the losers bracket.
Yeah, like I said, if that's what it is, if we have to look at this as a March Madness style bracket, man, it's really hard for me to make a case where T.I. could come out on top on one of these battles. He's got memorable verses. He's got legendary stuff. We were talking about this, and I had to revisit his entire catalog. He's had some duds. Paper Trail is not a good album. T.I. versus T.I.P. is not a good album. Mm-hmm. But I'm Serious, Trap Music, and King. Legendary albums. But overall, he's had to sort of kind of go mainstream in order to get the scraps of meat that he thinks has put him to the top. And I don't know who you could get that's of that upper echelon of hip hop celebrities that he could compete against and actually win.
Yeah, I love T.I.'s persona. Outside the studio, I like a lot about him. But yeah, versus wise, that's tough, man.
I can't. I mean, I just can't. I can't think of it. Please put your comment below. But before, what major artist that has the longevity as that he has, that he could battle and win? Don't think that there's an artist that you can convince me of.
Yeah.
Lower tier, yeah, I think he has it.
Mid tier, yeah.
Mid tier, maybe. Could he beat out? Man, and we were talking about this at dinner. Jeezy T.I. Who you taking? Jeezy,
yeah,
easily.
That
because his
101
because trap music versus Thug Motivation 101. Which one are you taking?
Thug Motivation 101.
There you go.
Hands down.
There you go.
I think that's the argument that they have too, like who was a true creator of trap music, and then when you throw those albums.
But see, if we're talking trap music, then if you're saying that he's a godfather of trap, then where the hell do you put 8 Ball and MJG?
Yeah.
And again, I know he's not from Atlanta. They're from Tennessee. But I mean, they were out long before T.I.
That's true. Same kind of beat production, everything, yeah.
And like I said, and then maybe if you say T.I. versus 8 Ball's solo projects. maybe. But I just don't, you know.
T.I. would be better going up against like a Slim Thug, maybe. What do you think? Or Trey the Truth. Well, who would you have out of those two?
Trey the Truth versus Slim Thug?
No, Trey versus
T.I.? Yeah. No, T.I. wins, but it's because I don't think that Slim Thug or Trey the Truth had reached the heights that T.I. did.
Okay, true.
And that's what I'm trying to match the heights.
That's true.
Like if you talk about like a good battle to me would be Lil Wayne versus Jay-Z.
Yeah.
It's a good battle.
Carter versus Carter.
Yeah. Now, I think ultimately Jay-Z wins.
Yeah. But it'll be tough.
It is tough. Because, I mean, you're talking about the Carter 1, the Carter 2, the Carter 3 alone competes album sales wise, content wise with.
Make it like 10 tracks, like 10, 20 tracks. Like, that's it.
And you could. Yeah. You could easily. That'd be a great battle. But ultimately, Jay-Z would win. He's got the hits. He's got the verses and everything else like that. Non-features. Lil Wayne's mixtapes, I think, could beat T.I.
Oh, yeah.
Major albums.
Like Drought. Yeah.
The Drought series. And then if the Drought series doesn't beat, the Dedication series beat him. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to get a sense of who he thinks he could beat in a versus battle. And I don't think there's anyone that he could beat.
It's not 50.
He's not 50. He's not beating 50. What you said, Mini Man beats the majority of T.I.'s songs.
I said the intro of Mini Man does. Pull up.
Man, like I said, I want him to be the guy that he thinks he is. But as a listener and as a fan of hip hop, you're just gonna have to leave the treasure map to show me where he gets the crown from. Because a lot of people, like when you were saying Scarface is king of the South, he's not better than Scarface. Hands down, the Fix beats any album that T.I. has done. My Balls and My Word beats any album that T.I. has done.
Yeah. Oh, man, we went off on the verses there. I dig it.
I think that it's been a great series, and I hope they continue it.
As we continue to quarantine?
No,
even after?
Yeah. I think, so one of the things that I've seen through all this, you know, obviously you got, what is his name that does the Club Quarantine?
Oh, Tory?
No, it's like DJ Mike something.
Oh.
Something like that. it's interesting to me because so many DJs have been able to sprout up with this. He was obviously a prolific DJ beforehand, but I think what he's been able to do with his social media transcends what he's able to do. And once everything settles down and get back to normal, he could probably have a residency in Vegas and he can pack a crowd, for 7 days a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but these verses thing, you had Lil Wayne versus Drake. That was a whole tour.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great tour, but you could do these tours. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged, 30 cities or something like that. But you could hit the major cities, and these artists could make some significant numbers, and it's a good show.
Yeah.
Teddy Riley versus Babyface, monster show. Get Blackstreet up there. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But during this whole quarantine process, like I said, I've been appreciative of the battles that they've had so far.
Yeah, it's provided great content. Really love watching Questlove's DJ sets during quarantine. Roy and I have sat there and watched a couple of them, just zoning out, having a good time. Yeah, was it you and I that went to see Questlove?
No.
Oh.
I've seen him once. I was during South by, but I haven't been here because he normally goes to. Victor. Is it the Belmont that he normally goes to? Where's what?
No, it was Empire.
Empire is where he hits him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, definitely miss going to concerts. I know those won't be back anytime soon. I read somewhere that there's potentially a $9 billion loss of revenue due to COVID.
Just off live music?
Yeah, just off live music and touring.
What right before, I don't know if we said this on the last episode we recorded, but the last show I went to was Post Malone for the Hollywood's Bleeding Tour, and that was a great show.
It was a good show.
It was a really good show.
Yeah.
And, considering I haven't been to shows, that'll be the best show of 2020 for us. Because
no, wait, we saw Benny the Butcher.
Was that 2020?
Yeah. That was right before Post Malone. We saw them and we saw Freddie.
We saw Freddie in 2020 or was it 2019?
Oh.
So I'm saying Bandana was
but we definitely saw Benny 2020.
No, Benny was at the Freddie show.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, 2019.
No, we saw Freddie. I think you're getting them mixed up because we saw Freddie at Empire. That's when he was standing outside and he kept cutting and going a cappella all the time. Yeah, and previously before that, we saw him at the Come and Take It. And I think you're getting the Come and Take It mixed up.
Oh, yeah, versus the Come and Take It versus, was that Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Empire. Yeah, so, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite show.
The switch gears into R&B, Tiana Taylor had put out a project that I know it's critically acclaimed, but I love that project, and I wish she was as popular as she thought she was. But her newest album, it may be her best album. There's still some trash songs like every album. But it's better than last year's album with Ye, and it's better than her previous albums, and I enjoyed the project thoroughly. I just,
Speaking of R&B, I'm not a huge R&B fan, but during that Roots picnic, I was watching the performance that Her did, and I've been sleeping on that.
No. Man,
holy
I've been
shit,
up on her.
Artist.
So that was the other thing that I was winding up to give this. So given the political climate that we've had, every year we have a major event that happens that kind of brings out projects.
Let me get that bottle right there, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That what's that? Yeah. Oh yeah. So what we got here? We got some.
Got the Wathen single barrel.
So Trey, sorry to interrupt, but Trey's been on a nice whiskey kick.
So I bought a house since the last time we recorded, and I've been wanting to get my bourbon collection up. So when Jay comes over, he's a mezcal guy. I'm a bourbon guy. First thing he said when he came here is like, "Where's the mezcal at?" It's coming. It's coming. Let me verse myself in mezcal.
The mezcal's coming. Like a butcher's coming.
And then when you come, I'm going to have a variety. It won't be as many mezcal bottles as bourbon bottles, but it'll be a collection of mezcal bottles so that you can.
That's Jay. Jay drinks that shit.
Jay drinks mezcal.
Thank you, sir.
But this Wathen's single barrel is really good.
Okay. Yeah, you're on your R&B thing before.
So I'm on R&B thing, and yeah,
definitely more punch than the.
A little bit stronger. So I got the barrel proof. The barrel proof is very strong. That's the strongest, highest proof you can get because it's straight from the barrel. And that's good.
That leaves a sting on the tongue.
Go pour that barrel proof.
No, I'm good. I gotta drive later.
But no, the R&B. Man, I lost my train of thought.
Tiana Taylor. I was talking about her and the Roots Picnic. Does that spark any memories? Try not to interrupt you, but I need that whiskey. No. My smoke's gone out.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Well, it was R&B anyway.
It was R&B. Yeah, no, but I was gonna. Damn, missed a good segment. I was about to go in.
Yeah. Also, I was recently introduced to Summer Walker. I'm about Summer.
I am a Summer Walker fan.
I like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
And I guess this is what I was going to say about the R&B women specifically is because they have such a hip hop influence. Kehlani, obviously hip hop influence, and her name's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember. Yeah. Yeah. It's Kehlani and someone else that I was gonna say that I really am just how they're taking the R&B and they can move it in this hip hop space that they're doing really well. Her and Summer Walker, and there's one
like
more.
That R&B hip hop Drake vibe that they have. I haven't really listened to him. So.
Yeah, the name that comes to mind, but it's false. Is Doja Cat, but that's not.
Oh no,
no, not at all.
Canceled.
And the thing is because on the screen here, when I look up, obviously I see Summer Walker, and then I see Doja Cat, and I think that's why I got Doja Cat from.
Oh yeah, I see her down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And she was on her thing until she started tripping. But remember, I posted that video. I was like, oh, I wonder how far the fall of Doja Cat is gonna be. Remember when she was like, oh, if my track got #1, I'm supposed to show my boobs real hard.
So okay, so
she didn't do it.
So one of the things I've been trying to explain to my wife is there was a story broke that one of the Fox News writers was using.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He was using a pseudonym, and
Carl Tucker thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so that he was on the blogs, kind of like trying to spread his
hatred.
Mm-hmm. We'll leave it at that for a variety of things in blogs and stuff like that. And so one of the things that I was telling her was, I have a fucked up sense of humor.
Yeah,
I do.
We both have.
And a lot of the stuff that he was saying, it's terrible. It's obviously terrible. But for me, I can see the humor in it. Doesn't make it right. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a high profile job. You need to shut that shit down.
Yeah.
But
well, he didn't think he was going to get busted under the pseudonym.
Exactly. One of the things that he said was, black people with black people always claiming how they're tired, it's more of a rest issue and not a race issue. And I'm like, because he was saying that like they stay up all night playing Call of Duty and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, they play 2K. What the fuck are you doing?
2K and Madden.
I was like, come on, you at least got to get the games right. But the thing is, because he's a writer, so a lot of the racist things that he was saying is all in the written language. Like, it's how he writes it, not necessarily how he's saying. And so one of the things that he would write in the passages was dudes, DOODS, which from a written standpoint was a racial slur because it is specific to the black community. Because at times, if you have a person, we all have, well, between you and I, we have these friends that just don't know how to spell.
Yeah, true.
And they misspell things. Sometimes it's on purpose to kind of like enunciate between stuff. So he does all this stuff. So I was explaining it to my wife about it and stuff like that, about how, you know, he wrote dudes, DOODS. And I was like, he's using it as a racial slur. Doja Cat had a song called Ain't Do Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, is from a written language standpoint, was something that they were using as a racial slur after the Trayvon Martin thing.
Yeah, I mean, they've been using that one for a while.
Since then, or since the Trayvon Martin was made famous because of, you know, obvious things. And so that was the one thing I was like, it doesn't matter what you do now, you can never live that down because SoundCloud allows you to download those songs, so it didn't matter. Yeah. You can delete it all you want. You're not.
Once it's on the internet, it's game over.
Because the internet, people will never forget. Nope. Childish Gambino said it best.
Yeah.
So, you know, Doja Cat will just never, ever reach to a level where I can give her respect because she wanted to be controversial and she went too far left.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me. Went too far right. So, yeah, I say all this to say that I'm always skeptical about like what people will do for the price of fame because once they reach it, it's like they can't ever, like you can't research the bibliography of how they became who they were.
Yeah. I'm not that person anymore.
There's a whole YouTube channel that's dedicated to saying, oh, Frank Ocean, before he was famous, here's what he did. Doja Cat will forever be remembered for the song that she was trying to get famous for because she was denouncing her
Black heritage.
Yeah, exactly.
So to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that fall was further than I expected, sir.
Yeah.
I told you it was gonna happen, but I didn't know. I think what happened was she pissed off some nerds. That he was like, we were expecting bibs. You didn't show us some bibs. So guess what? We're gonna dig deep into that past and we're gonna hurt you like
they call us the Page 20 boys.
Should have showed those boobs hard.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
no, that's not PC, but
it's not. It's not. So,
oh man.
Well, yeah, man. Listen, we've obviously reached to the point where we're just talking shit, which is always the best part.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here, we need to talk about the hookah because we had some new additions.
Yeah, I did. Oh, so I reached out to Poland. Shout out to Poland and got myself a hookah.
Finally.
Stepped up the game.
But the KM was still hitting.
The KM was hitting, but
and the BYO was hitting.
You know, I think it was a combination of things with the KM. I didn't have the bowls necessary. I maybe didn't even have the shisha necessary. There's nothing wrong with the quality KM. If you are a beginner into the hookah realm, recommend starting off with a KM. But if you want to go kind of mid-tier, I'd probably would recommend a shisha bucks. Those are nice little square, compact hookahs that fit nice in the living room or wherever you tend to smoke in. They're really portable as well. But if you want some really quality smoke that also makes a beautiful centerpiece, the hookah, hands down. You know, I went with kind of like a burnt orange wood, and it has some lithography in it. So they sent electricity through the wood, so it has this nice little design and
very nice, like a char.
Yeah, and what they also did with the hookah they came out with a new valve system. One of the things with my BYO that I constantly had a problem with was the hose kept popping out of the valve, and it, no matter what I did, I switched out grommets, everything to try to get that thing to stay in there. But, you know, you move too far to the left or the right and it would just pop out of place. But Wuka did a very nice job. A couple other hookahs do it as well, but you just stick the hose straight to a valve system and it's on there, man.
Yeah,
man,
no kink or anything.
Yeah, that thing's not coming off. So I went with the crystal white and black base that they have. With there were like their new bases that they came out with, very beautiful in design. And yeah, just real nice tray. So also stepped up, I got the Black Nearest Lotus Bowl. It's a very beautiful top for a heat management device. And I also got a ceramic Lotus Bowl, which is very nice. It does a very good job in holding flavor, heat as well, and it, you know, cools off really fast. You don't have to worry about it shattering when you clean it. Highly recommend that. One of the problems that I ran into with my Black Lotus was that the Nearest didn't fit on there well for whatever reason. So I used the 2.0 Lotus heat management device, and it works perfect. The only problem with that, you can't open and close it to manage your heat, so you're kind of stuck with that.
Well, you have cold management.
Yeah, cold management. Take cold off.
So
Too cold tray.
Hey, they call me Too Cold Trey. So we initially had a first flavor, and it didn't work out for you. So for the most part of the show, what was the flavor that you chose to go with today?
Trey introduced me to Ugly Hookah's Huckleberry.
General Huckleberry. Very nice flavor. Nice enough to where I could smoke it on its own, add a little mint to it, probably even better. I just prefer minty flavor to my hookahs because once you get down to the bottom of your session, it tends to hold flavor a little better before it just burns out. Trey also introduced me to some new bowls from Italy. So, you know, so I have a tendency when I'm smoking hookah, especially with the Lotus bowls, is that I find that they get too hot. So I did some research, and I found that ceramic bowls in general tend to absorb more heat, but at the same time, it doesn't give off a lot of heat. So it's more smooth than what it is. The problem that I have with the Lotus bowl version 1 is that it's glass, and so that it heats up a lot, and it's very hard to control the heat once you have it hot. So my personal preference now has been ceramic. So from Italy, there's a brand called Ula Bowls, who I'd been looking at beforehand, and the cost to import it had gotten pretty high. And so 5 Star actually looks like they did a bulk order and they got a bunch of Ula Bowls, and so it was easier to ship. So tonight, I had my initial smoke session maybe two days ago with the Ula Bowl, but tonight, you know, being the fact that it had been seasoned, cleaned it out real well, and kind of got the factory smells off of it and stuff like that, you know, had a really, really smooth session. You know, one of the things that Jay said, you know, being that this was his first night using it, is that he said that the flavor kind of retained itself a little bit longer than it would have with the Lotus Bowl. And so tonight I went with the General Huckleberry, the Citrus Mania from Missouri?
Yes.
Okay. The General Huckleberry was from Ugly Hookah, and then also Ugly Hookah on the lemon mint. Normally Jay likes to go heavy on the lemon mint, but tonight for the General Huckleberry and the Citrus Mania, I went just kind of like faint lemon mint, and I felt like it complemented the bowl really nicely, so it wasn't overpowering, because at times I feel like the lemon mint just kind of takes over the bowl. But given that I just had the little sprinkles on the bowl, you got the hints of lemon mint, which I love about it. It's almost like lemon zest.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, that's what I like to use lemon mint for. It's a flavor enhancer. So whatever base flavor you want, whatever fruit or whatever it is, or just even mixing other mints with, it kind of exemplifies the main flavor that you want to come out and adds a zesty mint to it. So it's just not like a plain flavor. Like I said, I like that cooling sensation that mint has. Sort of like how I make my Kool-Aid, like 2 packages of whatever flavor and then add a lemon to it, and it just kind of boosts that main flavor profile. Yeah, so my second bowl that I did load, like I said, I did the huckleberry, and I added chilled wine from Eternal Smoke. It was a nice smoke. I had to kind of clean out my hose a little bit after this. I need to do a nice deep clean. One of the cool things that Trey introduced me to was ice cream salt to clean out your hookah, and you mix that with, I guess, a little what you add to that.
So typically, a lot of agents that I've looked at typically involve some sort of alcohol, salt, and some sort of smell good to kind of take the smell of the burnt, kind of like a resin smell that, after extended use and stuff like that. So
it's really bad on silicone hoses, by the way.
What?
The smoke flavor that retains afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So his cleaning process works really well in those.
Yeah, so I find that, obviously before the pandemic started, it was a lot easier to find alcohol. But so instead there's a product called Bling that you can get online that essentially has all that. It's rock salt, alcohol, and fragrance. And it does a really good job of kind of getting in there, scrubbing off the hard to reach areas, and, allows you to wash it off. But for household cleaning products and stuff like that, I only use a little bit of Dawn soap, salt, and lukewarm water, and I find that it yields the same results. And I think it helps overall. You can clean it as much time, and it's not detrimental to your hookah or your hose for that matter, because extended use to typically 90% alcohol and stuff like that. You're using a highly abrasive alcohol in order, it just kind of kills the taste and it lingers a little bit longer. Yeah. So I find that the Dawn soap, salt, and warm water does just the job of the way, and you don't get that chemical smell after.
Yeah. I recently ventured into some other tobaccos. Zomo was one of them. I picked up a couple 50 gram boxes from them, and out of the flavors that I have tried, I highly recommend the watermelon. I think it's lemon or lemon lime or whatever it is. They have a watermelon flavor that's really good. I mix that with some, what's that, blue curacao? How do you say that word?
Curacao.
Curacao. There it is. Blue curacao. That's really nice. Blue curacao has a liquor taste. If you know, it is a liquor with lime, lemon, and a little mint. So use that as a flavor enhancer. I tried it the other way around. So the first time I tried it was a 60-40, 60 watermelon, 40 blue curacao. I switched it around the other way, and blue curacao by itself is not that great. So
yeah,
recommend it to be used like a lemon, mint, lime, or whatever. So it enhances whatever flavor that you want it. And if you think about it, the liquor itself usually used as a floater to, add flavor to whatever alcoholic beverage that you're drinking. So
adds color too.
Yeah, adds color too. But these are all blonde leaves, shishas that don't need higher temps to burn, and they give you a good hour session.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, we've definitely had the session for about hour 15 minutes, and the coals just started to burn out, but at the same time, so did the taste. So, but my recommendation is the Ula Bowl. Costs a little bit to get it in stock, but at the same time, I find that it doesn't run as hot as the Lotus Bowl does.
You do need a nice grommet to fit those bowls.
Yeah, that definitely is important.
Otherwise, it'll be kind of shifty on your hookah, as I experienced. But Trey has the right size grommet on there, and it's steady as can be. So, they're nice bowls. They look beautiful as well. They're each one's kind of handcrafted. It's a 1-in-1. So once you order it, there'll be no other one like that bowl. So that's unique in itself. You want to show off a little bit?
Yeah. And like I said, I think it looks nice. It's got kind of like a Dutch oven type of feel to it. And when I first saw it, that's what I thought. But yeah, overall, I'm pleased with the performance of it. I know you kind of had a bad flavor initially, but at the same time, you got back right like everything else.
Yeah, I mixed Secret of Babylon Zomo with Azure What Else. And because that Azure What Else is such a mystery flavor, I can't pin down what that fourth flavor is. It's like cherry, peach, mint, and I don't know what the other one. I think it's cashmere, but I'm from Tangiers, but I'm not sure. But it's an exclusive flavor for 5-star, and I haven't quite figured out what that was my first smoke session with it. So once I get down a nice solid mix, I'll be sure to gift you guys with that. It may since there's so many flavors in it already, it may be a flavor that you just have to smoke by itself, or just add the J Special lemon mint to it and move on.
Lemon mint and lemon cake.
Oh, lemon cake. Oh, I did make an upside down pineapple cake.
I saw that. Was it ice spice?
It was pineapple iced tea.
Yeah,
with lemon cake and some cherry sour. So I would say it was about 60% lemon cake, about 20-30%. I would say probably 20% pineapple iced tea, because that'll take over a bowl real easy. And then the rest was the cherry sour to kind of add that nice little cherry on top that upside down pineapple cakes have. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah,
and you have to you can't like load them like a pie diagram. You have to kind of mix them together like you would a cake batter, and that was really nice flavor. We got some other flavors that'll be coming that I'm working on. I had a nice little mojito that I've been perfecting, and I've been using Fumari's mojito, which with Eternal Smoke's lime lit and lemon lit. So I do about 20% lemon lit, 20% lime lit. The other 60% is the mojito, and it's like true to the drink itself. So it's a nice mix. If you guys chilling, smoking it at home, you want to try something different, spice up your life, definitely recommend giving it a try.
Absolutely, man.
Well, that's it for Shisha Talk.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up right there, man. Bring the Smoke podcast, man. We're back. Hopefully it won't be that long until the next episode. It's a Chronic 2001 reference. But again, we appreciate you tuning in. Sorry for the hiatus, but we're back in full effect. Your boy Trey signing off with the homie J Dub, man.
Yep. Peace.